Just came across the wire as soon as we went to break. The Clippers and Chris Haynes both reporting. Jerry West has passed away this morning.
Jerry West, 86 years old.
The logo.
The logo.
Yeah, passed away next to his wife. No indication about health complications. I was saying this out loud, like, I didn't know, and Dirt just stopped because he knew what I was going, and he goes, 86. And I went, yeah, that's also a good point.
Yeah, he's 86. He's old. He lived a hell of a life. He was still working.
He was.
Still employed.
Pat Riley has a lot of this now because he's still with us and still more kind of in the picture because Jerry the last few years has still been around, but he's not been as in the forefront.
Yeah.
A real argument to say one of, if not the greatest basketball careers from a player front office standpoint of what he built as a front office guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I know he didn't load up on all them rings. He didn't have Michael Jordan 6.
Yeah.
But the dude went to a bunch and put up absolute buckets in those finals. His teams were just beat by absolutely loaded Celtics teams. And so.
Yeah, wasn't he the only guy that won the MVP on a losing side?
Well, he's the last one, I think, to do it. Yeah.
Oh, has there been multiple?
He might have been the only one to do it, and I know he was the last one to do it.
It's been a long time. It should have happened once or twice since then, but that's a pretty remarkable accomplishment.
Yeah. Go look up his finals numbers. There were insane games that he dropped on those, but RIP to the logo this morning.
Yeah, that era, that team with Wilt and Elgin Baylor, and that's one of the sports teams and players I would have liked to see. I was just a little bit before my
me too,
my
just
time.
a little.
And if I could go back and watch that group play to understand, how that was the start of the transformation out of that Celtics, Bill Russell era to modern NBA.
Mm-hmm.
And they did. They liked to get up and down the floor and push the ball and shoot. And that was even before 3-point line. And they were out there. I mean, he's one of the best jump shooters in the league for a number of years. So, and then what he did as the architect of Showtime Lakers, he was helped Memphis kind of transform that front office and get that organization into a position to compete on a regular basis.
The grit and grind era.
Yep.
He built the grit and grind era, and you sold him short there a little bit. Not only the Showtime Lakers, he is the guy that fell in love and was obsessed with getting Kobe.
Yeah.
And he built the Shaq Kobe Lakers.
He was also a part of the Warriors dynasty
and
from
the Warriors,
11 to 17.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
Clippers, I know, haven't won a championship, but he helped put that roster together. They're relevant for the first time in the history of that franchise, and having a good owner. And Ballmer has something to do with that. I looked up his average in the NBA Finals. He played 55 career NBA Finals games.
That's insane, man.
He was 22 and 33 in his career in the NBA Finals. In those games, he averaged 30.5 points per game, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists. Shooting 46% from the field.
The old school highlights of Jerry West on NBA TV, if you ever see those when they would randomly play him, it would just be like, and here's Jerry West. And he's hitting a really long shot, and he finishes like 44 points. The Lakers lose by 10, and you're like, well.
His team's down by 15. Jerry West has 47 points on the night.
Yeah.
The only thing you have to say about Jerry West, too, is he's the logo. He's the logo of the NBA. It's one of the most iconic players in the history of the league. But I think what you hit on that makes him. And I think this was similar when Walton passed, right? Like, Jerry West obviously had a much more prolific NBA career than Bill Walton did, Bill Walton because of the injuries. But what made Walton stand out so much was all the things that he did post-playing days. It wasn't just that he was a great player. He then became a broadcaster, and he was known for many people in many different generations. And that's the thing with Jerry West, is that he has stayed relevant for so many years as such a brilliant basketball mind, helping multiple organizations build championship caliber teams. Not all of them got over the hump, but championship caliber teams. And it's remarkable that he has had such an elite. It's hard to say that you could have a better career than his playing career, but almost as an executive, how smart he was and some of the shrewd moves that he made.
No, I think you certainly make an argument.
You can make an argument,
yeah.
And that's for a guy who averaged 27 points over like a 17-year NBA career and is the logo of the damn league. Mm-hmm. It's insane to say that even his executive career might have been better.
He never got stuck in one era of the NBA. Like, through all the eras and the iterations of how the game changed over the years, and the three-point line coming in and then going into this defensive whatever that was with the Pistons and 75, 69 NBA Finals games, and then what he did with the Warriors and analytics and all of those. He never got stuck and attached to just one era in his NBA career.
Him and Riley, really, I think you could say this about both of them. The evolution of that game, no matter where it was going at any one point, it was never like you hear this about, you get this a little bit with Belichick, right? You get this with legendary coaches from time to time. Has the game passed them by?
Yeah.
You never had that with West. And he wasn't coaching the way some of these others do, but to still build and successfully navigate through every kind of version of the NBA, I mean, that speaks volumes, I think, to kind of the humbleness or humbled nature I think he had to have operated with. There's no way you can get through those many different eras and versions of basketball without being like, please educate me. Please teach me the analytics. Please let me know what these are saying. Mm-hmm. Oh, this is the new wave. Like, some of those guys don't do that. They grow out of the game because they're like, no, like you're seeing this dabble with the portal. No, we're doing it the Clemson way. It's like, okay, well, then Ryan Day and Dan Lanning and Kirby Smart and all these coaches are
Right.
probably going to pass you. Steve Sarkisian, they're all may just take your lunch money.
Right.
You got to be humble, and I think there's a real thing to be said. I didn't get to watch Jerry West play, obviously. I'm too young, but to be able to successfully navigate through all of those eras, I think in a way speaks to, man, that guy was always willing to learn and never be stubborn to say, I'm Jerry MFing West.
I'm the logo,
I'm
bitch.
the logo, bitch. We're going to play it this way.
Yeah.
He always found a way to evolve. I think that's a very high compliment, I think, to somebody's character. The unfortunate thing I think about, too, with him passing, his life kind of ends with his portrayal in a television show on HBO that he really just disagreed and did not like.
He was not a fan of that.
Actually made him quite upset. And we talked about that when that show debuted, because that was still in that weird COVID kind of post-COVID thing.
Yeah, winning time.
And we talked about how much we loved it, and I didn't understand, just lean into it. I thought it made him more likable, actually, to see that he broke windows and trophies.
He's a bit of a red ass.
But also maybe he wasn't quite that intense, and there's a reason he was upset with his portrayal in that show. So it sucks that happened kind of at the end of it, but man, what a life to have lived and what an impact in the game, not just from a logo standpoint, but from an evolution and growing standpoint as a human in that sport.
You think about him of the what ifs of how many titles could he won had he had a better team around him with how good of a player he was.
Well, he had a great team. The Celtics were
the Celtics were
loaded.
unbeatable, sure. Yeah. But just in an era of which, if he would have been in a different era, how many titles could he have won, and how differently do we view his legacy? And then the other thing for him is how many times he was in the top 3 MVP voting. He just played in an era of Bill Russell won multiple. Wilt won like 37 MVPs. Like Kareem eventually got a couple during his career. So it was hard to break through some of those bigs of that era.
Yeah. R.I.P. Jerry West passed away this morning, age 86. I'm sure you're going to see so many great pieces and TV, mini documentaries or whatever about him, I think, in the next weeks to come. R.I.P. to the logo.